Hi, I'm Melanie from Gallery 1111, and today I'll be interviewing Murray Walsh, who is the next in line to exhibit with us. His exhibition is called The Smell Before the Rain. So welcome, Murray.
Thank you, Melanie. Lovely to be here.
Lots of questions. Ready to fire, I am. So Murray, this is your first solo exhibition. What's brought you to this point?
Well, essentially, I do have formal art training that goes back to studying at what was originally the Alexander Mackie College of Art. While I was studying art, I also practiced as a graphic designer and commercial artist. But I met my wife. We decided we wanted children and the whole catastrophe. So I essentially decided I needed to get a day job. So in between that time and now, I've been painting, but not full time. But this year, well, when I say this year, 2020, I've taken a sabbatical to paint full time and to, well, luckily I've ended up with the opportunity to have a solo exhibition with you.
Okay. So can you talk us through the title of the exhibition, The Smell Before the Rain?
Well, it occurred from a chance discovery of some wonderful graffiti in a disused railway water tank. And I went inside the hollow interior of the tank, and instead of seeing the usual nasty graffiti, there was this beautiful statement, "You are the smell before rain." I researched it, learnt more about petrichor, and it just so happened at the time the drought had broken in the Central West. And so what was occurring was, in fact, from a monotone landscape, we now saw this explosion of colour. Greens, blues, yellows, reds, everything, and an explosion of life with it. So that was the motivation for the exhibition, essentially.
Okay. And I happen to know that there will be farm animals involved in
Yes.
this show. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, well, having been married for 30 years to a farm girl, it's given me plenty of opportunity to observe farm animals in situ. And they all have individual characteristics that are fantastic. And in particular, what I've done is a series of animals that have really impacted on me most recently. For instance, there's work that I've been doing on calves who have recently been weaned from their mothers. The opportunity I had was during a windstorm. It sounds weird, but the calves were somewhat distressed, calling for their mums, but their quizzical gazes were, it's just fantastic. And so that led on to painting other animals around the farm, which includes sheep, bulls, dogs, etc. So, and galahs.
Fantastic. And your beautiful landscapes, you know, the textures, that color palette, lush color palette. What can you tell us to expect with your landscapes?
Well, the landscapes came about from observing in particular views over a period of time and seeing the dramatic change in colours. And the kind of changes came about not only through the rain, but also through the changes of the seasons. The architecture of the trees is something that I've picked up. It's a wonderful aspect of a rural landscape. So what I wanted to do is try and capture it's almost a formality of the landscape, but then also capture the explosion of colour. And to do that, I was doing a number of sketches to start with, usually in pastel or watercolour, belting those out and then coming back to the studio to actually put together an impasto piece. In most of the works that I'm exhibiting for Smell Before Rain, I've used a palette knife. But yes, the attempt is to actually get that explosion of colour, movement. I've tried to include a sense of movement within the landscape because that's always moving as well. and to capture just that, I guess, elemental surprise that is constant.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about, do you have any particular rules that you work to?
Well, I do. I always have admired good draftsmanship, so I do try to, or attempt to, get the aspect and perspective absolutely right. But then I like to try and twist that somewhat by putting in objects or at least contrivances that actually direct the viewer's gaze around in almost like a scything method. Sorry, I'm complicating it, but the movement is the big deal, and so that's probably one of the things I aim to get. But there's also the change in the light. So the light from left to right, the light from above, the reflective light from the sky. They're all the things that are really important to me.
Yeah, you seem to create a real sense of place, sense of space, which is very exciting. I'm very excited to connect the audience to that.
Thank you.
With your underlying theme, nature,
Yes.
it seems very personal to you. Is that something that you could tell us about? Just tell us a little bit more about.
Of course, yes. Well, with climate change, with the drought, with the recent catastrophic fires we've had, and even before that, for the last 30 years, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of activism around looking to see better stewardship of the land, regardless of where it is, whether it's in the city or the country. And I've become particularly interested in the Indigenous approach. The Indigenous approach in terms of fire management, the knowledge that's come forth from authors such as Bruce Pascoe around stewardship of the land, the agrarian approach that a lot of tribes had taken and still take over the years. So I have a great admiration for that, but also I've got to say for farmers in general, they're environmentalists. They have to be. To be a good farmer these days, one has to be an accountant, a biologist, a scientist, and an entrepreneur all in one hard-working package. And I've had a deep admiration for the way farmers look after their land. So I guess that's I'm coming around in a circle on this, but there's a lot of people, a groundswell of people and opinion to change the environmental practices that we've currently got in place. And I'm very positive for the future. So that's why I tend to try and draw on some of that in my painting. Okay,
thank you. So well said. Is there anything else you'd like to just connect to the audience with prior to your exhibition?
Well, essentially, I'm deeply grateful to Gallery 1111 for having the opportunity to exhibit. Everybody I've met there, worked with or workshopped with has been very grounded, but very talented. It's a fantastic environment to nurture and to get exposure to art and to talk and to plan, to exhibit everything. It's been a great thing. So thank you very much, Melanie.
Well, we're absolutely delighted to have you on board and very much look forward to showcasing your work. So the exhibition runs from the 17th of April to the 1st of May, and the official opening day is the 17th. So to book, you just go through gallery1111.net, follow the prompts, you lock in your spot, and we're literally open day and night for those 2 weeks to celebrate this wonderful body of work. So thank you very much, Murray Walsh, for jumping online today to discuss The Smell Before the Rain.
Thank you very much, Melanie.
Okay.